When someone loses you, their mind will seek closure where none can be found. The absence you leave behind is not merely physical but a space in their consciousness filled with echoes of what once was. They will search for answers, for clarity, believing that understanding will ease their pain. But true peace cannot be found in the mind's endless questioning. It is in this space of absence where suffering arises, not because of what has been lost, but because of the resistance to what is. The mind clings to stories, memories, and regrets. It replays moments, hoping to alter the past by dwelling on it. But no amount of revisiting can bring back what has passed. Grief is not merely the pain of losing another. It is the confrontation with impermanence itself. We seek permanence in people, in relationships, in the world around us, yet everything that exists in form will eventually dissolve. To face this reality is uncomfortable. It reveals the illusion of control, the fragility of all things we hold dear. They will struggle because the pain seems personal. But this pain is not who they are. It is a wave moving through them, not a permanent state of being. Yet, the mind personalizes the loss, making it a story of abandonment, rejection, or failure. This identification with pain keeps it alive, feeding its energy with every thought. Peace cannot be found by escaping pain or suppressing it. It arises when one stops resisting, when the experience of loss is met with total presence. In this presence, the weight of grief does not disappear, but it ceases to define them. It becomes a part of life's unfolding, not a barrier to it. The world teaches us to seek completion in others, yet no one can complete you. True wholeness arises from within, independent of external conditions. When you leave their life, it will feel like a void, but the void is not you. It is the space where their own essence can be discovered, if they allow it. Suffering comes not from loss itself, but from the mind's refusal to accept what is. Healing begins when there is a surrender to the present moment, not resignation, but an openness to feel fully without judgment. In this openness, pain transforms. They may never find peace if they continue searching for it in the past. But when the mind quiets, when they stop seeking explanations or closure, peace will reveal itself, not as something to be gained, but as something that was always there beneath the noise of thought. What has been lost is not your essence, for essence is not bound to form. It is eternal, untouched by life's passing changes. They will struggle until they see that the love, the connection, was never outside them but a reflection of their own being. And so, they may not find peace until they stop searching, until they realize peace was never lost. It was only obscured by the mind's resistance to what is. When someone departs from your life, the mind often becomes entangled in stories of loss and pain. The ego clings to the idea of what was and what could have been, creating suffering not from the event itself but from the resistance to what is. True peace does not arise from avoiding pain or denying loss but from embracing the present moment fully, without judgment. The pain of losing someone is not a punishment. It is a call to awaken to the truth of impermanence, the ever-changing nature of existence. Peace is lost not because someone has left, but because the mind fixates on what was, replaying moments and imagining futures that no longer exist. Yet the mind itself can never find peace. It seeks control, certainty, and possession in a world where all things pass. The path to peace begins in stillness. It is not found by searching but by surrendering. Surrender does not mean resignation. It means accepting this moment as it is, without resistance. The heartache, the absence, the longing, these too are part of the now. When you bring awareness to this moment, a space opens within you. In that space, you realize that peace was never outside you. It was not dependent on the presence or absence of another. It arises from within. When the mind releases its grip on stories and meets the reality of this breath, this heartbeat, this life unfolding now, the pain of loss can transform into a deeper presence. Can teach you that love is not confined to physical form, nor bound by time. What you truly love in another is not their body, their voice, or their presence alone, but the essence of being that can never be lost. By staying fully present with your pain, rather than fleeing from it, you create space for healing. The pain becomes a doorway, not a prison. Through it, you awaken to the truth that you are not separate from life but a part of its endless unfolding. The one who left has not taken your peace with them. Peace remains, untouched, in the depth of your being. It awaits not in the past nor the future, but here, now, in this still moment of presence. You are whole, you are complete, and you are at peace not because of the absence of pain, but because you have stopped resisting life as it is. Losing someone important in your life can feel like the world has come to an end. It's a loss that doesn't just affect the present, but ripples out, reaching into every part of who you are and how you see the world. It's not something that can be understood easily, nor something that can be swiftly healed. It can feel like the loss of peace itself. The peace that once existed between you and the person, or perhaps within yourself, seems to fade into a distant memory, leaving behind only the weight of absence. When you lose someone, it's like losing a part of yourself. The emotional connection that once held you together begins to unravel, and it becomes a struggle to find any sense of calm in a world that feels off balance. It's as though the foundation of your existence has cracked, and no matter how hard you try, it seems impossible to patch it back together. The peace you once had is now a shadow, and no matter how much time passes, it feels as though it will never return. But what is peace, really? Peace isn't something you can hold on to forever. It's a fleeting moment, an experience that arises in stillness, in acceptance of the present. When you lose someone, you may find that your ability to find peace in the moment becomes clouded. The grief you feel, the longing for what was, becomes a constant companion. Pulls you away from the present and into the past or future, where you feel the weight of what is lost and the fear of what will never be. However, it's important to understand that while losing someone can seem like a path to endless suffering, it doesn't necessarily mean that peace is gone for good. The grief may come and go, but peace can still be found, though it may not look the same as it did before. It's not about forgetting what was lost, but about learning to live with it, to embrace the pain and find meaning in it. It's about accepting that life is filled with both joy and sorrow, and that peace comes when we stop resisting what is and begin to surrender to what is happening in the moment. The key to finding peace after a loss lies in the recognition that peace is not something external that can be given back to you. It's an internal state that can be cultivated, even in the face of adversity. It's about letting go of the need to control the past, the need to fix the brokenness, and instead, allowing yourself to feel the emotions that arise without judgment. Grief is natural and it's a part of the human experience. The more you resist it, the more it will persist. But when you allow it to flow through you, you may find that it loses its grip over time, and you're able to reconnect with that sense of inner peace once more. In moments of stillness, when you stop chasing after something that feels lost, you can begin to reconnect with yourself and the world around you. You may find that the peace you thought was gone never truly left. It was always there, waiting for you to rediscover it, even in the wake of loss. Peace doesn't disappear because of grief. It transforms. It may not feel the same, but it is still there, quietly waiting for you to embrace it once again. When you lose someone, it can feel like the whole world has shifted. The connection you shared with that person can never be replaced, and the pain may never fully fade. But with time and reflection, you can begin to see that the loss, though painful, is also an opportunity for growth. It's an invitation to find a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you, to find peace not in the absence of pain, but in the acceptance of it. Peace after loss is not about erasing the memory of the person or pretending that everything is okay. It's about finding a way to live with the grief and still move forward, knowing that peace can exist even in the midst of sorrow. And so, while the world may feel a little less bright after losing someone, peace is never far away. It is always within reach, waiting for you to rediscover it. Losing someone significant in our lives often feels like the world has come to a halt. In those moments, the silence is louder than words, the absence sharper than any presence. We are left with the pieces of what once was, and in those pieces we find fragments of ourselves, perhaps broken, but also undeniably changed. When you lose someone you love, it's not just their physical presence that disappears. It's the connection you shared, the bond you built over time, The moments that were once so familiar now become distant echoes. The weight of loss is heavy because it's not only about the person who is gone. It's about the future you imagined with them, the dreams that are now altered or lost entirely. The world doesn't stop for you. Life continues to move forward, as it always does, indifferent to the grief that consumes your heart. People go about their daily routines, oblivious to the pain you carry, and in those moments you may feel utterly alone. The idea of peace seems distant, as though it belongs to someone else, not to you. But this silence, this emptiness, holds something important, something that may not be clear at first, but it's there if we allow ourselves to understand it. In the wake of loss, there is an opportunity for transformation. The pain we experience is not just an end but also a beginning. When you lose someone, you are confronted with your own vulnerabilities, your own fragility, and your capacity for resilience. You are forced to reckon with who you are without them, to redefine your sense of self and purpose. And through this process, you may find that peace is not something that comes easily or on anyone else's timeline. It is not a destination but a journey, a gradual rediscovery of your inner strength. But the truth is, they will never find peace after losing you. And this isn't because of revenge or malice. It's because some connections are so deep, so transformative, that their absence leaves an irreversible imprint. The absence of someone who was truly integral to your life isn't something that time can easily heal. The person you were with them will never be the same again, and that version of yourself will always carry their influence, even if they're no longer physically around. The beauty of love, though, is that it's not confined to a single moment or a single person. The love you shared, the lessons learned, the ways you grew together, these things don't vanish with the person. They live on in the way you approach the world, the way you treat others, the way you evolve. It's easy to forget in the throes of grief that the things you valued most about the person you lost were not just in their presence, but in what they helped you become. You may feel like you'll never be whole again, but you are not meant to stay the same. You are meant to grow, even if that growth feels painful, even if it feels impossible. They may never find peace, but you have the power to reclaim your sense of peace. It might not look the same as before, but it is yours to find in the quiet moments, in the reflection, and in the journey ahead. The absence of another does not equate to the loss of your own path. The path may be altered, but it is still yours to walk. The love you once knew may no longer be a physical reality, but it still exists in the memories, in the moments, and in the ways it shapes who you are now. And as you move forward, know that peace is not the absence of pain, but the acceptance of it. It is the understanding that life continues, even through the most difficult of losses, and that you have the capacity to find new meaning, new purpose, and ultimately, new peace. Peace isn't a place or a person. It's a way of being with yourself, even in the midst of loss. And in this way, you may find a kind of peace that was once unimaginable, one that comes not from what was lost, but from what you are still capable of becoming. Losing someone who was a significant part of your life is an experience that shakes you to your core. The absence of a loved one, whether through a breakup, death, or separation, creates a void that feels impossible to fill. The person you once relied on for comfort, companionship, and understanding is no longer there, and the pain that comes with it can feel overwhelming. Yet, amidst this storm of emotions, there is something profound to learn about yourself, about life, and about how you relate to others.